What's going on, guys? So summer is here. Actually, it's been here, but for some reason it's been far more milder this summer, and it's been cooler longer than it ever has been. But today is definitely a scorcher. No clouds, super bright outside. We probably have, I'm gonna say 15-20 mile an hour wind, so it's not exactly still winds. But you know, I discovered something in the Brookstone the other day when my family and I came out here just to hang out in here, and wanted to talk to you about it. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so before we talk about the topic inside of the Brookstone, this is actually very relevant to that. So I had a 14 gauge, 12 gauge extension cord running from the pedestal over there to the back of the RV, and it was simply to keep the battery system charged. I have two 250 amp hour Go Power lithium iron phosphate batteries and a full Go Power charging system, courtesy of them. And I wanted to basically keep the whole system running. Well, to enable the batteries to charge, the solar panels do a reasonable job, but they don't actually maintain the batteries whenever I'm running things inside of the RV, like the dehumidifier, as well as the little noisemaker and a few other things that are running in the RV all the time. I turn the refrigerator off so I don't have that current pulling from it. That said, though, I wanted to be able to run an air conditioning unit. The main reason why, and if you didn't check out my BigTruckBigRV Life channel to see what's going on with this right here and why we're 3 months behind, I really didn't give you much of an update on there either, but a lot of stuff going on. We moved the RV from over here to over here. Over here, I had 50 amp power. Over here, I don't. So I bought a 100-foot 50 amp cable that runs to the pedestal, and then I have the 30-foot 50 amp cable plugged into the back of the RV. Now, a lot of people might say that is an awfully long run of cable, and how much current are you pulling through that? What's your amperage, and is it possibly going to cause, you know, melting issues or things like that? Well, I don't believe so, mainly because we're not running a lot in the RV. What I wanted to do was simply run one AC unit. And the way the RV is configured with this power management is that I can run all three off of 50 amps at the same time. They're all 13.5 kBTU units. So yeah, so I got a 100 amp cable, or sorry, 50 amp 100-foot cable. It's currently ran. I got my Surge Guard Smart protector over there. I also got one inside of the RV, and we also have a system in here that will detect if it needs more power, and it can divert power from the battery system to the RV as well. So I don't think I'm going to have any type of overheating issue. That said, we're going to hop inside of the RV, and I'm going to talk to you about something that can happen to your RV if you're not very careful whenever it's left out in a very hot environment for a long period of time. All right, so I come out to this RV about once a week, and I spend time inside of it, just making sure that things are okay, that we don't have any rodents, bugs, things like that. You'll hear my little rodent repellent here. I'm going to turn off my alarm system. Let me turn this down. This thing makes like 10 different sounds to help deter rodents and things from getting in, and we haven't had any type of rodent issue, no bug issue, a couple little spiders, but I've sprayed for them. For the most part, the inside of the RV has been in really good shape. I have my little EverDry dehumidifier here leaning over. If you didn't see the little hack I did, I drew a little hole right here so it can essentially fill up and then start draining into the sink, which it does really well. Again, I have the refrigerator turned off currently, but around 5 p.m. the other night, my temperature sensor went off in here, and I have this thing set to go off when it reaches 100 degrees. And the temperature sensor is somewhere around here, right here. And I got an alert saying that the RV had exceeded 100 degrees, which means it's getting really hot inside of here. And I was able to maintain it when it was over there by having one of the ACs set to turn on at about 84 degrees. I now can do that again because I have a 50 amp cable. I'm not trying to power more than one unit. Actually, I have the, let's see here. I have the front bedroom unit and the living room, the back unit, off, and it's only the center unit that's on. When I got into the RV about 20 minutes ago, it was 114 degrees in here. 114. It was very warm inside of the RV, and I had to turn off the temperature sensor because I didn't know how high I wanted to set it to keep it from going off constantly. So we've dropped it down quite a bit by simply running this one AC unit for like the past 20 minutes. It's brought it down quite a bit. I don't know if it helps just having the door open. I opened up some of the windows to kind of get some of the hot air out. But when I turned on this AC, I started instantly hearing kind of like a rattling noise. And I got my ladder out, I stood up here, I pulled down the little covers. If you didn't see the video I made where I actually made kind of a baffle that routes the air more efficiently through the ducting, it's very similar to a product that's on the market already, but I made my own kind of spin on it, and something that was super, super affordable, not over $100. I think it was probably like $15 worth of materials total, but go check that out if you're looking for that. I might put a link to it. But I baffled my AC so it kind of ducts directly into the air conditioning ductwork. It was a DIY project for sure, but I figured, well, maybe some of the aluminum flashing tape that I put up there had started to peel back, because when you got wind flow going through, that can happen. And I was a little concerned that that's what was making the little rattling noise, because that's exactly what it sounded like. It sounded like foil kind of fluttering in the wind. But when I got up on my ladder and I was just about to pull this one down, I could actually hear it coming from right here and not from right here. Now, I haven't modified the ducting in here at all, besides the baffling of the ACs. So none of this has been modified at all. So I moved my ladder over, popped the cover off, and there was a piece of aluminum that was literally flapping like this. It was really annoying, making a real loud noise. Matter of fact, if I go back to older videos, I probably heard it in some of those videos as well. And what essentially happens is, you know, you have so much heat buildup in here, and if that aluminum flashing tape isn't set down perfectly, it can peel back, especially as wind rushes by it, because it's going to catch the wind. So I peeled the little piece off that was flapping. I went and got my roll of 3-inch 3M flashing tape, and I got up here, I popped down the whole vent, unscrewed the little mount that it attaches to, and one thing I quickly noticed is that there's air, there's a gap almost all the way around the vent that isn't sealed up against the ducting. So at that point, I was on a goal to try to seal everything up. And I see almost why it was done, because you have very little room to play with between the little flanged lip of the AC vent right here and what it slides up into. So you don't really have the ability to put tape everywhere where you might want to normally if you had a much larger vent right here. And I tried to figure out a way that I could tape it up so air could better flow through here without possibly leaking out into the cavity above the ceiling and the roof. Basically that 4 to 6 inch gap there where there's insulation and everything else. And I think I did a pretty good job. But what this goes to show you is that if you're not out in your RV, if you're not testing stuff out, things like this can happen, right? Tape can become loose. Adhesives exposed to incredibly hot temperatures can start peeling back slightly. 114 degrees is how hot it was inside of this RV. It's humid. It's a hot environment. Even though I have the small dehumidifier, it doesn't mean that it's doing a super effective job of getting all the humidity out of here. And it's not just an issue of air from the air conditioning getting lost into that cavity and not being as efficient, but it's also an issue of moisture and other things getting in through that cavity. Because what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have an easy access point for humidity and air and things to get into your RV body, the living space, from the space between your ceiling and your roof, if you can avoid it, because that's also how you can start getting humidity, moisture problems inside of your RV. The reason why we originally went with this, and I can put a link to that as well, super cheap, got it off of Amazon, so not a sponsored product, but the thing has lasted a long time and it still lasts. We've had it for like 3 years. We had it in the previous RV and it worked really well, was because we came out to our RV when it was in storage one time and there was like white powder on all of the cabinetry. Like almost everywhere you looked, it was like somebody just frosted things with white powder. And we realized very quickly that that was mold and mildew. So we went through, we scrubbed the whole thing clean, we used, you know, all sorts of different cleaners, got it all out, and we realized that it's because RVs traditionally aren't sealed that well. They might be sealed reasonably well against rain for the most part, but they're not necessarily sealed well in an environment where they're sitting stagnant with no moving air. Now, before all of those folks who are critical about all RVs start commenting, let me close the door because I can see flies and everything else coming in here. But before all those folks start typing, the exact same thing will happen to your home if you leave it abandoned, without air conditioning on, without dehumidification taking place. The exact same thing will happen. We have a rental property that was literally vacated for like a week. And I went through it and I was surprised how many roaches there were, how many, you know, areas of dirt had built up, dust, in 1 week of a home sitting still, not moving down the road, not being drugged through that type of stuff. And we're talking about a very well-built brick home that, you know, quite frankly, when people are living in it, it seems clean because somebody's constantly maintaining, dusting, you know, trying to keep things in order and tidy. But once a home sits abandoned, it's going to start dying. And that's kind of the point of this message, that things will happen. As much as folks want to start commenting and saying RVs are junk, they're built like trash, whether you believe that or not, anything that you leave abandoned or you leave empty in 100+ degree weather for a prolonged period of time will start getting dusty, dirty, humid, nasty inside. It just happens. Even vehicles. You can leave a vehicle meticulously clean. And, you know, dealerships, for example, they'll have a vehicle out on the lot that's just been sitting there. It's a yellow vehicle. No one wants to buy the thing. And you find out very quickly that dust somehow forms inside of it. And that film gets on the windshield and things get inside of it. It's just when you choose to no longer keep up with something, bad things can start happening. The dehumidifiers probably helped tremendously in preventing mold and mildew from forming inside of here because, quite frankly, the interior of this RV looks as if it's brand new, which is awesome. And then we come out, again, I probably am inside of here about every week, just doing a really, really quick walkthrough, seeing what's going on, making sure everything's fine. But the other side of that is, you know, if we didn't come out here at least once a month to really do kind of a deep clean, sweep it, vacuum it, dust it, it would start looking nasty in here. And that's the same with any RV. A subscriber of mine asked a really legitimate question recently, and I forgot what your name was, but I do appreciate the comment. You'll probably know the minute I bring this up. He said, is there a difference between an RV that has not been used, that's been sitting in storage, that has not been taken camping, that's essentially, you know, closed up and has been in, you know, pristine condition? Is there a difference between that and an RV that's been used a lot when it comes to resale value, even if it's the same unit, same floor plan, just one's been used a lot and one hasn't? I would venture to say the one that's used a lot, even though it has more usage on the stuff, well, as long as the owners and the users of that RV cleaned it, took really good care of it, fixed things, you know, looked for adhesive things that might come loose, expanding and contracting in the hot and cold, as long as somebody's been keeping up with it, the unit that's been used the most probably is going to be in better condition to resell. There's no odometer on a towable travel trailer or fifth wheel. And because of that, there's not really any way for a new buyer to say how many miles were really put on an RV. And if you really take care of your RV, regardless of how many miles you put on it, it's going to hold its value better than an RV that was just left to die. And leaving an RV out, if we never came inside of this thing, if we never, you know, made sure it was clean, checked for bugs, checked for rodents, ran appliances, used it, this thing would die and it would look super nasty inside and it would have no resale value. Things would fall apart. But because we try to take care of it, even though we're not getting as much use out of it as we would like to right now, it still looks really new. And we've taken it out about 24 times. And I'm going to tell you that it probably is in better condition than a lot of RVs that have never been used, sitting on a dealership lot, that are just sitting there because no one's taking care of them, or in a storage facility because no one's taking care of them. So again, at the end of the day, the message here is you need to come out and you need to check your RV out. I'm so glad I was able to fix that. It was super annoying, but it also helped me discover another issue, and that was the fact that there wasn't really great sealing between the ducting and the sealing portion right here to allow air to come out smoothly. Now I plan on pulling all of these down and doing the same thing because I think it's important, and I want as most efficient use of air out of my limited air conditioning. I know I have 3 of them, and it's more than a lot of RVs have, but it's still limited compared to your home, right? I'm not going to cool this down possibly as well off of one AC unit as I would with my home. So I want to make sure that one AC, when it's running out here, when it's keeping the unit maintained, it's doing the most effective, efficient job possible. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. Love being out here. We like to come out here and just spend time in the RV, watch movies, let the kids play. It's just a really cool environment, and it's just fun. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.